That I wanted to have here at Ohio State. By the time I left, I wanted to have a Buckeye tree here. So, I mean, it was like really cool to have one, because I've always had a dream. I wanted my name to be just somewhere in the woody, whether it was Captain or Buckeye tree, just have a picture on the wall so I'd have a reason, to take my grandkids here and be, oh, yeah, no, I used to do this back in the day. I've always wanted to have that sort of reason to come back to show stuff off, so it's really cool.
Terrence, when you go back and evaluate the last game of the season and the immediate aftermath of that game, what was the rebound like in this facility? Your conversation with your teammates. What was the rebound the days after? Um, and then you obviously get the chance to play. Can you walk us through that kind of emotional journey all over again?
Yeah, I would say, it was definitely a different feeling around the facility after that game. I would say that we had to take a minute to step back because, like Coach Day said, we were no longer in control of our destiny, which we had been all season long. So I think being able to take a step back and to realize at this point we need to reflect on everything leading up to the game, which I feel like we had a lot of time to do that, but at the same time just giving everything to God and sort of being like, I told this to my mom, it's kind of like you're treating it like the turbulence when you're on a plane. Sort of the best way to deal with it is just to realize you're not in control and just to almost, act like it's not there until it's over. So I would say in terms of that was the mindset I felt like I had to have when, it was not in our control, but it was dependent on what other teams do. And we prepared the week before, championship games, for the conferences, as if we knew that we were in to keep that mindset. Then to opt into that sort of break mentality, right? That can easily creep in. So instead of doing that, I feel like the coaching staff did a great job of keeping us in a routine as if we were about to go play, which helped. So when we saw our name up there, it was kind of automatic. You know what I mean?
Especially interesting because there's guys like yourself and CJ who, if USC doesn't win that game and maybe you don't get to the fourth spot, you might not be playing for Ohio State, considering what your future looks like. There were some guys that had some decisions to make. So it's another element to that journey where you're kind of like waiting to find out your own future.
Hmm.
I just wonder how you handled that.
Yeah. So I mean, going into this year, I kind of wanted to push all thoughts about that till like the end of the season because I've seen a lot of the seasons not go people's way because they're too concerned about what they're going to do after the season instead of having their mind right where their feet is at, which I've been trying to focus on. So I would say, that game had definitely like a lot on the line, right? Like the games that we were watching. But I would say at the same time, I wasn't trying to spend that time trying to decide one way or another. So I wouldn't, put myself in a position to switch my mindset away from the Buckeyes ultimately. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to take that time to come to that conclusion. Does that make sense?
What was that moment like when USC lost, and you kind of felt like, okay, we have a chance? I know you said it felt like you were preparing for that, but there had to have been a moment where you felt like, okay, we can do this. We might be in it.
To be honest with you, I watched the game with my girlfriend, and she was elated. She was jumping up and down. For me, I sort of treated it like a game here. Like when you win, I'm excited. But then in my mind, I was on a TCU. I was on, okay, I'll wake up. I need to watch that game because that's going to secure it. There's no doubt about it. So I feel like I enjoyed it for a little bit, but I was on the next one. I sort of had that mentality as if I was, there trying to watch the game, like because I knew, you never know how the committee's going to go. But when both lose, that's kind of all you needed for the emotion and the feeling to be, all right, we're good, we're back on. You know what I mean?
And what was it like here at the Woody when you guys all watched that moment when the logo popped up and it's 100% Buckeyes?
I feel like it's kind of the same way how I felt after the USC game is the kind of energy I felt. Like everyone was excited, like, okay, let's go, let's go. But then we all got up and we're talking to each other, okay, so it's back to business, it's back to the usual preparation instead of, we can relax, we're in, great. Versus, okay, we're in, this is what we wanted. Now it's time to execute. You know what I mean? So.
Also picked up a lot of All-American recognition. Have you guys talked about just how great it is that you handle the game line and both All-Americans?
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit. We just had like the team meeting one day, and the way we took to the path we took to the offensive line room, we were looking at the wall, and we saw like the spaces on the wall for the like next people, and we were talking about how crazy it is that we'll both have the opportunity to have a picture here on the wall and have a tree here, at the same time. It's like really cool.
What's different about playing next to them as opposed to playing opposite?
I would say the biggest difference is just being a guard and one position, and then on the left side just being a tackle. But I don't know. I feel like I still keep the same kind of communication with DeJuan. I feel like I don't know how a lot of other left and right tackles really communicate with each other, but I feel like I'm so used to talking with him that whether it's in the huddle, whether there's something that's a type of technique that I want to use, I'll talk to him all the time. So I know we're on the same page. On how we're going to handle a play or, play action or whatever. So I feel like we still have that communication that we used to have.
Georgia's best known for their D tackles, but get into their D ends a little bit. I think that they lost their best rush end to an injury earlier this season. What have you seen from their D ends so far?
Yeah, both their defensive ends are, hard players. Watching film on them, they're not. I feel like you see a lot of talented players who show flashes of greatness, but then there's a couple plays of like laziness here and there. But I think the one thing that I respect about them is that they're very consistent and they play hard, and they don't stop till the like whistle's blown. And I feel like as a tackle, you can respect that on film, and it makes it more fun and prepare for those opponents who go as hard as you do. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's kind of like I respect their game in terms of their ability to speed and power, their ability to rip move, all the stuff that they can do. I think they're talented players. So you definitely can't overlook the defensive ends despite their interior play.
How do you balance looking in the second half against Michigan and trying to fix those mistakes but not lose sight of the identity you guys had through the first 11 games in that first half?
Yeah, I feel like we know who we are, and we know who we are when we execute the right way. So I feel like going to this game, it's not like we're gonna lose sight of what we know we can do in the big moments.
What were the biggest takeaways maybe from that second half where you guys couldn't get going?
I don't know. Like I feel like we played pretty well up front. I just think that the one thing for me is that it doesn't really matter, like, I guess how good, like, individual groups do. Like, the whole team has to be on the same page. So whether that's just a team communication or whatever that is, I got to be a part of that, and I got to help, in that, fixing that for this game, so.
I know you were honored the other night by the state governor's office and the state senate for your foundation, everything you're doing. I know it was a really cool thing. Can you get into that and explain that a little bit and how that went?
Yeah, so that was like really cool, and it was humbling to receive that recognition. I had like no idea that that was gonna happen, and when it happened, I was just thinking about how like when it comes to doing service, like you don't go into it thinking about the recognition or the applause or the like it's about helping others. So I feel like this is like we're really like surprised in me for them to, I guess, flip the script a little bit. And I feel like for me and my mom and just everybody on the board and everybody who volunteers at the foundation, it was like really awesome because that was like really unexpected. You know what I mean? And so I think just to know there's a lot of people out there in like high places that know what we're doing is like really cool. So yeah, I appreciated that a lot.
Earlier you talked about focusing on the present and not thinking about your drop-off awards, things of that nature during the season. Is the foundation
It has. It definitely has.
Elaborate on that a little bit. In what ways did that have to help you, stay focused on the field?
Because I feel like I'm always thinking about the like next event that we have, or who they have to talk to get this going, or I don't know, like it's something that's always like consistent. Like I feel like away from the Woody, if I'm not like watching film, it's either something that has to do with the foundation or video games of some sort. So just doing stuff like that in my free time.
Do you have anything planned? I mean, what is your foundation? What are y'all working on in the next couple of weeks before Christmas?
So right now, I'm just all in on Georgia right now. So I'm sure after the season, we're gonna get into the next stages of trying to find out what's next. But as of right now, from like my end, I'm all in on Georgia right now.
You got let your mom take care of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're all in on Georgia. All we hear, when you turn on television, you watch it, I mean, their defensive front, it's probably everybody else about this, but their defensive front gets a lot of accolades.
Mhm.
What is the challenge for you guys at the front?
I just think that they're hard players, and I respect that they you keep going hard. I feel like sometimes you see people on tape that like I said earlier, that there's people that show flashes of greatness, but sometimes they have like the tendencies to be a little lazy here and there. I feel like from watching their players this season, they don't have that, and I respect that from my opponent. That they have that drive to keep going, and so I'm like definitely excited. To face them, and I respect them as an opponent.
Do you go into a game, against an opponent like this, a wide receiver or whatever, has some contact occasionally. You're going to have contact on every play. You treat it as almost getting ready for a boxing match. I mean, how do you treat it from a stamina standpoint, but also know you're going to take a blow to give a blow? You understand?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the mentality I have before I come to practice. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if we're running naked away from the quarterback. Like I'm either the one doing the hit and I'm the one getting hit. So it doesn't matter whether it's So I feel like that's the mentality you always have to have. Like sort of. I feel like what Coach Day said, our like motto was fight. I feel like for me it's evolved. The meaning of that has evolved over the season, and I feel like I take that in the games, but I've been learning how to take that in the practice better. And like you said, like a boxing match, I sort of think about it like a UFC fight. Although I haven't watched a whole lot of them, but I've played the video game several times. So I sort of take it, it's kind of the approach into the way I go to practice, the way my one-on-one fight. When Coach Day says when you're one-on-one, I sort of think about it. It's like a UFC fight, and the whole arena's watching, so you're going to win that. If I say it's you versus him, and I put 100,000 people, you're not going to, quit. You know what I mean? So I think if you think about it like that in practice, it translates even better to the game.
Is there a nastiness factor that's evolved with you in that regard? Meaning, I'm not saying fight dirty, but you gotta be willing to scuffle, right?
I mean, yeah. I feel like as an offensive lineman, I feel like, but you can ask any offensive lineman, even at the high school level, like you're just waiting to feel somebody when you grab them and they start to stumble a little bit. That's kind of. It doesn't matter how tired you are. That's the best feeling in the world. Just throw them on the ground and just jump on them and lay on them until the ref looks at you and you say you couldn't hear him. The ref, I don't know. It's just part of the game. I feel like you can't even get here and play offensive line without it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you come here to get developed with the technique and to enhance your toughness, but I feel like you can't make it in the door. I feel like when you recruit offensive line, what's the first thing you look at is if they have a dog in them. You're not looking just for a special technician.
Harris, thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate you guys' time.
Jordan Hancock.